Lions corner Amik Robertson suffered what looked to be like a pretty severe upper body, upper arm injury in this play right here against the Commanders in the divisional round. I think most people were able to figure out what was going on here, but when I show you this replay, just focus on the upper arm of Robertson while Jack Campbell comes in to assist on the tackle. He lowers his shoulder and all of the contact is going to be made through the middle of Robertson's upper arm, otherwise known as our humerus bone. So if I play the replay one more time and freeze it right here, we can kind of track and show this deformity even though it's hidden up by drawing his arm and elbow and where his humerus should be, and you'll see that right there is the fracture point as a result of Jack Campbell coming in and hitting his arm. Now, if that wasn't convincing enough, I'll show you one more still image from the broadcast. I'm not going to show you the full video because it is a little graphic, but again, you can really see that deformity again in this picture right about there, and then there's just kind of a shift in level in his arm. So if we draw his humerus and his forearm, you can kind of just see that they're on different levels almost. And without getting too into it, in the video when he tries to move his arm, you can clearly see that there's some sort of separation or fracture going on. So if we just look at a right arm right here, you can see your humerus is going to be right here, and it's going to make up your elbow and your shoulder joint and be classified as a long bone. And so what's happening here is the force is coming from the lateral side or the outside. It's going to come in and hit Robertson while his shoulder and elbow are both fixed, which is going to force that bone to be rigid and have to stand in there and absorb the impact, eventually leading to it fracturing. But this doesn't seem like it's just some minor fracture. This seems like it's something a little bit more major, like an oblique displaced fracture, which just means the fracture goes completely through the bone and the two halves are displaced in some way or shifted from one another. Now, with any fracture or deformity like this, you're going to be worried about any damage to the associated structures, and maybe not so much the muscles, but definitely the nerves. You have a ton of nerves in your upper arm all coming off that brachial plexus, which is just a large group of nerves that come off of your spinal cord and go into your arm from up in the clavicle area. But the biggest concern is definitely going to be vascularly, where we have this big artery, your brachial artery, that comes down through almost right next to your humerus. So when we have this blow that comes in and fractures the bone that way, we got to be careful in making sure that that artery did not sustain any damage, and now we have internal bleeding. But the staff actually did a really good job here in coming in and immediately stabilizing that arm, even getting him up and walking off the field very quickly. Now, sometimes you'll see them use some sort of vacuum splint for these kind of injuries, but when you're dealing with some sort of shoulder or hip stabilization, they're not really big enough or the right shape to provide full immobilization. Definitely an interesting injury here, not one we see too often, so let me know any thoughts or ideas you have in the comments below. As well as don't forget to drop a like on the video if you enjoyed, and check out my channel for more injury breakdowns.